Yeah, Goth and Mortigan, you scoundrels! Good morning! Okay, so some of my viewers want me to explain the inverter a little bit better, the 300 watt inverter I got, um, more technically. So I'll do that. It was that one there. And we're going to go right into it. I'm going to keep it kind of simple. So, I mean, you can get way more technical with this stuff, but I got to keep it simple for the people that are just learning. So basically, I'm going to be looking at my notes here because I just can't remember everything offhand either. So I'll be looking this way a lot, so forgive me. So basically, with a 300 watt power inverter, you can run a bunch of stuff. And people are asking, well, what can I run? Okay, well, it depends on three things. You have, the first thing is volts. So how many volts the item is. And then you have watts. How many watts the appliance, we'll call them appliances, like whether it's your laptop or cell phone or what have you. How many watts it draws, and amps it draws. So you have volts, watts, and amps. And usually every single appliance, if you look somewheres on it, it'll tell you what those three things are. Sometimes there's only two or even one, but a little bit of common sense goes a long ways. So if you know, you've got the watts and the amps, you pretty much a lot of times know what the voltage is, you know, whether it's 12 volt or 110 volt. But let's get right into it because I can talk forever on this subject. So every appliance usually has volts, watts, and amps on it. So for example, if we take this cell phone charger, it'll say, you won't be able to read it, but I'll tell you what it says. It'll tell you what this inverter will run, or if it's going to exceed the amount of watts or amps or volts that, well, it's always, this is 110 volts, so it'll all be the same, or 115 volt. If it'll exceed this capacity, and that's what you got to know. So a cell phone is, it doesn't give you the volts, but we know it's 115 volts, when you plug it into the inverter, into the 115 volt outlet, and it's 1.8 amps. So this 300 watt inverter can handle 300 watts, 2.6 amps, and it's 115 volts. So this falls within its range. So you just look at this, and it says right on the inverter what the volts, watts, and amps are also. So you can't make a mistake. You just look at what's on the inverter, or write it down so you know, and then you look at your appliance that you want to plug into it. Then the other thing is, you know, like I want to be able to know if I can charge my lithium batteries for my Black & Decker cordless drill. Well, you can. The drill batteries are 115 volt, which is normal. It only draws 18 watts, so we have a 300 watt inverter, so we got lots to go there. And because that inverter can handle 2.6 amps, the charger only draws 1.5, so you know, just a little over half. So we're good. We know we can charge that because it's under the inverter specifications. Okay, then you have your laptop. So I'm going to start getting a little more basic because you understand how to check it now. So your average laptop uses 60 to 90 watts. You're good. And that's like a big laptop, real big one with a lot of, what do you call it? Those gaming computers, they use a little bit more. So, you know, basically 60 to 100 watts. Your average TVs use between 80 and 400 watts. Well, see, that's where we got to be careful because the inverter is only a 300 watt inverter. This one, you can buy higher watt inverters, but then they drain your batteries on your vehicle more. So you got to stay within that 300 watt ceiling. And so you got to check your TV. It says on every appliance, like I said, my fan, my household fan, my big household fan draws, it's 115 volt, and it's 40 watts, and only 0.39 of an amp. So my little inverter would run a great big house fan no problem, because I checked the sticker on it to make sure that what it draws was sufficient. And so we talked about laptop, TV, fan, drill batteries, cell phone chargers. So it's very simple. Again, I'll say it. Basically, we know in Canada we run 115, 120 volts. That's on everything, unless it's a 12 volt. Well, then that's a different story, right? But this is a 115 watt or 115 volt inverter, 300 watts, and it will handle 2.6 amps at its maximum draw. So that's just that simple. You check those numbers versus the numbers on your appliance, and away you go. So you would just plug this into your cigarette lighter, boom, in your vehicle. Okay, I could do it in mine in the van and show you, but there's no point. It's cold out there. So, and I haven't, it's not warmed up at the moment. But you plug that in your cigarette lighter, and then at the end, according to your numbers, you can plug in your, your cell phone. Boom. You can charge your cell phone and everything else that we discussed. And then, because this inverter is really nice and it has some USB ports on it, it has a port, two ports, see it? Right there, 2 ports. You can plug in your directly, you don't have, directly into it. You don't have to use this part. Can you see it there? You don't have to use this part because this has, it's like your computer. You can plug your cell phone into your computer. This has 2 USB ports. You can plug your cell phone directly into it. And this is a 5 volt, so it'll charge your cell phone actually quite quick. But I checked the volts and the amps, and it works. So that, again, so you don't overheat this thing or overheat the thing that you're trying to charge. You got to make sure you're within those specs. And then the wires that you plug, one thing you got to, see, now I'm getting technical. If you plug this into your cigarette lighter and you've got really thin wires running from it to your battery, you're going to burn those wires out because they're not heavy enough to draw the amperage that this needs. That's why they put a big heavy cord on it. So just remember, if you're installing a cigarette lighter, make sure you use heavy wiring from your battery to the cigarette lighter and have it fused. And this is where you can start getting really technical, right? So I hope this was helpful. Skull!